It's fair to say that going door to door can be an unpredictable and hazardous experience in any profession. Postal workers at least have the benefit of being familiar with their routes though, and so over time they should also know exactly which houses pose the biggest threat to their well-being. Indeed, in a certain mailman's case, visiting one home in particular proved to be perilous, thanks to a malicious cat. As it so happens, it's not just domestic pets that letter carriers have to be wary of when at work. It turns out, in fact, that insects can be a nuisance too. As one mailman told Mental Floss in 2017, wasps get into mailboxes, especially if they have an outgoing mail slot. They build a nest in there. I've been stung quite a few times. Even static, non-living objects can be dangerous to unsuspecting delivery folk. That's because mailmen and women may feel so familiar with their routes that they don't even bother looking around. Indeed, they may just go about their work with their heads down, sorting through their mail while walking. And if, say, a hanging basket blocks the way one day, a bump to the head could be the end result. For one mailman in particular, though, it was actually a ferocious feline that was creating all kinds of problems for him on the job. Yes, a cat, a species not typically known for terrorizing delivery people, was making a house on the route a nightmare to serve. Still, it may be difficult to believe that a domesticated kitty would be able to seriously impede a professional postal worker. After all, how much trouble can one small ball of fur really cause? Well, quite a lot, actually, as the mailman proved when filming one of his encounters with the cat in question. As the video begins, the carrier steps out of his vehicle in front of what appears to be a perfectly innocuous-looking house. It's clear that there's an adversary inside, however, judging by the words he speaks as he approaches the door. "Kitty cat ready to do battle?" the mailman says out loud. And indeed, at the window is a black and white cat, the vicious beast in question, staring at the mailman. What's more, as the visitor inches closer to home, the cat seems to be planning its next move, looking from the door to the intruder and back again. "Coming down here?" the mailman asks the animal. Then, as he's tasked to do, the carrier prepares to put some correspondence through the letterbox. The instant that familiar rattling sound begins, though, the cat pounces. Fast as lightning, it swipes from the other side of the door. And yet it doesn't grab the letters and rip them to shreds, as one may assume. Instead, with its paws swinging through the letterbox, the cat pushes the mailman away, and he recoils from the kitty's crazed onslaught. After all, even if this is a daily occurrence, it probably doesn't make it any easier to take. What's more, the animal is even vicious enough in its attack to cause the mailman to drop his letters onto the ground. "He's ready to go," the mailman laughs, before wondering aloud, "How am I going to get this in there?" It's apparently worth a second try, though, as his hands hover for a moment near the letterbox, post poised to put through the slot again. But before he has a chance to follow through, the cat strikes back. And once again, the cat doesn't appear to have it in for the mail itself. No, it actually has its claws out for the poor guy who's just trying to deliver it, all while filming this hilarious encounter. Once the territorial animal knocks the paper out of the mailman's hands, in fact, it tries to tear at one of his gloves. In fact, it's a good thing that the mailman is wearing gloves, or his vicious foe might have scratched his hands to shreds. Perhaps then the patient human came fully prepared for his bout, knowing what had happened in the past and what was likely to happen again. And maybe it's this prior knowledge that leads to the mailman's next step. In short, the crafty carrier gets one up on his opponent by sneaking a single piece of mail through. How? Well, seemingly by tricking the cat into taking it into the house for him. Yes, rather than going in hands first, the mailman instead chooses to grasp the very edge of the magazine and push it into the letterbox. That way, his hand is out of the way of the marauding cat. And as a consequence, the animal snatches not at human flesh, but at the mail, with the result being that it pulls the paper item into the house when it retracts its paw. Maybe then this is the only way that the mailman is going to complete the tremendous task before him. And so, having apparently figured out the trick to getting past the hazardous feline, he presses on. As he offers up another piece of mail, though, a paw flashes out and knocks the letter to the ground. The mailman continues, however, and places the envelope halfway through the letterbox. There, the item remains for a moment, apparently undisturbed by the cat on the other side. Perhaps buoyed by this small success, the delivery man then pushes the envelope further into the slot. And in an instant, the malicious kitty grabs the letter and drags the letter into the house. It's a victory of a kind for the mailman then, after his hard-fought battle. What's more, his footage of the skirmish proves beyond a doubt that cats can be just as merciless as dogs. And that's a lesson that viewers of the clip may have taken away too. after the video of the mailman's encounter was posted to YouTube in 2014. Furthermore, YouTube users had plenty to say about the clash between the cat and man. One wrote, for instance, "The mailman should film the fight every day. Now that would be a channel I'd watch." Another pointed out, however, that the situation could still have been worse for the carrier. "Good thing there isn't a pet door, or he'd be in deep trouble," they said. One of the mailman's fellow postal workers even chimed in to say how noteworthy his experience was. They revealed, "I was a mail carrier, and dogs would bite the mail, but never did I experience a cat." And while the feline in the video may seem incredibly hostile, another YouTube user explained that it was probably just in a playful mood, writing, "The cat's not angry at all. This is just a fun game for him catching the mail." Whatever the cat's reasons for making the mailman's work that much more of an ordeal, though, the animal at least makes his route a little more interesting day to day. And really, no matter how menacing a cat might be, it's pretty much impossible to stay mad at one for long.